My name is Naomi Alabi, and I'm your moderator for this session. We are all concerned about how to enhance educational experiences in Africa, especially for the youth. In the absence of a lot of information, we tend to leap onto the worst case scenario to help us all achieve some clarity on what is known versus what is speculation or what is exaggeration. This is an important topic which affects our socio-economic sectors, and we a topic that would be very good to present on. So this is why the panel was decided. On this panel, we will, one, share what we know as a panel, two, answer any probable questions that people might have surrounding this topic, and three, offer any probable remedies to mitigate any adverse effects arising from a topic area. Moderator, I will be guiding a short period of time, only an hour, so the questions are going to come in two waves. The first would be a general question posed to all four panelists. The duration for this would be approximately 2 minutes. The second would be a specific question centered on each panelist's area of expertise. Now, with the second wave of questions, 5 minutes would be allocated to each panelist. And the rest would come from you, the audience, in an open mic question and answer session. So let's get right into our first question for the panelists and our audience. Hello, Mr. Prosper Mukwanda. Good morning. I hope you've had a lovely morning so far.
Good morning, Naomi, and thank you very much for having me.
Mr. Prosper, as an Oxford scholar, in what ways do you believe the educational experiences of African students can be enhanced?
Thank you very much, and then good morning to my colleague panelists. It's a very important topic, especially at this time that African students, both home and abroad, are determined to actually make their educational experiences count, both for themselves and their communities or countries. From my experience, schooling schooling in the UK, in Italy, in the US, and in China, one of the ways that we can make our enhanced educational experiences of students in these countries that I have schooled in and other countries is to build solidarity amongst themselves. Because sometimes you feel like you are alone. Sometimes when you are in the class with other students from other countries, because of their sometimes superior preparation before coming to school, you feel a bit underprepared. And sometimes it leads to inferiority complex. So one of the ways is actually to build solidarity amongst African students abroad and home. And as well as share resources amongst ourselves. About 50 years back in the US, you had Black students in different campuses who had one or two challenges. And it so happened that their challenges were common. What did they do? 3 people decided to form an organization called the National Society of Black Engineers. And this was for students who were studying mathematics, science, and engineering. National Society of Black Engineers became a platform that was used to empower Black students, that was used to share experiences, that was used to share resources. As we speak today, I am a member of the National Society of Black Engineers, not because at that time I was a student in the US, but as I said, the people in the States build solidarity with students in mainland Africa who were able to not only enhance the educational experiences of students in the States, but enhance the educational experiences of students in mainland Africa like me. And through that, I was able to make it to Oxford. I had mentors, I had role models, I had accountability friends. And with through all these support, I can tell you my educational experience has been wonderful. And not only been wonderful to me as a person, it has actually prepared me to be able to solve one of the ultimate goals of our education, solve problems in Ghana and Africa. How was I able to solve the problems? Again, through partnership, because we cannot solve our problems alone. We need to partner, bring on board our individual and collective experiences and strength. So Naomi, this is one way that we can enhance the educational experiences of African students. And as I said, both abroad and at home.
Thank you very much, Prosper. Your point on solidarity is very key, as most students in the diaspora do tend to feel alone most of the time. Thank you very much, Mr. Prosper. Now, to Miss Ayurabi Aqua, you're looking rather lovely this morning.
Thank you, and so are you.
In your opinion, as a social activist, what sort of interventions do you think could be put in place to further enhance the educational experiences of African students?
So I will take this question in two folds. We're talking about African students home, and we're talking about African students outside. For African students home, I think that there's always this disconnect that what we're studying in school doesn't have any relevance on real life. And having gone through the system myself and now being in the job market, it's very, very obvious where the disconnect is coming from. And so you find that students who have gone to school in Ghana, when they're working with other students internationally, there's a struggle that some of them have some kind of advantage, because every time there's some kind of society evolution, their educational system is structured to reflect that. And that's what we're missing here. And so if we want to take this gap where students outside, African students outside can, with this context in mind, you find that students who are the continent go in with some kind of inferiority complex, because you already know that your starting point is not solid, your foundation is not solid. You are not in a good position to even begin with, and then that makes you isolated. I know students who have to, they already feel that they don't even belong there, and so there's a need for a support group. African students, again, the partnership point that Mr. Prosper made is very, very important. But relationships in the schools that we are in, because ultimately there are certain things that we need to benefit from being there that can enrich our lives. And then when we come home, those experiences also add value to us. So I think it's very, very important to build these partnerships with fellow students, African students, and then with international students as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Ayurba Aqua. Your point on the disconnect between what is actually being taught in the classes is very important, as we see in our contemporary educational system. Good morning.
Good morning, Naomi. Sorry, I'm not really well, so I won't talk much.
I hope you're a bit okay to speak. Mr. Opang, as an educational consultant, how do you believe the educational experiences of African students can be enhanced to better suit the demands of our contemporary society?
Thank you very much, Naomi. We all know that the pandemic has really affected education systems worldwide, leading to near total closure of schools, but we thank God everything is under control now. I believe that being an African student, in Portsmouth, we have a gap, which is supporting our international students during the pandemic. So, in this crisis, important that with the pandemic in a very special way, so that everybody will not be disadvantaged. In other ways, why am I saying this? I'm saying this because if we don't share views and ideas together as people during this time, we might not get or head anywhere in the world. So I will suggest or say that we should be there for each other in these times.
Thank you very much, Mr. Obong, and I do hope you get well soon.
Thank you.
We are currently missing a speaker. So I would then, Mr. Prosper Mkwanda, having schooled in Ghana, Italy, the US, the UK, and now to add China, what would you say is the striking difference between schooling abroad and schooling within Africa? Is there a common denominator, in your opinion? And if there is, what would you reckon that to be? Accompanied with possible improvements you believe could be made to improve or enhance the diasporan experience for African students worldwide.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting that we want to know, my experiences abroad and comparing that with the experiences that one had back in Africa, particularly in Ghana. By the way, I studied theoretical physics and mathematics in Italy. I studied energy systems and policy in the US, particularly at University of California in Davis. In China, I did some professional studies on rural development and small hydro development, which is still in energy. In Ghana, I studied physics and mathematics and computer science. Now, I want to start with my experience in Italy, where I studied theoretical physics and mathematics. You realize that, and I was taught in Italy, in fact, my school was and still is for the United Nations, the Abdul Salam International Center for Theoretical Physics. I had the privilege of being taught by Nobel Prize laureates in physics, the best in the world. And this is the point I'm trying to make. One striking difference from my experience studying in Italy and in Ghana with regards to my instructors, it's not just about that in Ghana, I was taught by ordinary professors, very wonderful people that I'm very proud of, who are ready or who were very keen in serving their nation. The thing is, in Italy, even though Nobel Prize laureates, they were very open to being wrong and learning from we, the students. Unlike back home, they get to the classroom and it's like, you sit there and then take and knowledge. That is one striking difference. And if you have an instructor who is open to learning from you, it gives you the confidence to express yourself. It actually gives you the confidence to also look out into what your instructor or your professor has done. You're actually looking for ways of improving his work and trying to improve the work of a Nobel Prize laureate, especially if he gives you a paper that he used in winning the Nobel Prize and tells you to review it. You can imagine what you would have become after you have finished reviewing it, finding ways of improving it. And through that, in fact, I enhanced because to be able to find a way of improving a Nobel Prize winning paper, for example, you would have thought innovatively. You would have thought beyond the boundaries of your skull to be able to come up with innovative ways of improving such a thing. Back in Ghana, I remember one of my professors wrote a very long equation. We called it the Schrodinger equation. And he missed a number of steps. As a young person who wanted to always study ahead before you come to the classroom, I pointed out one mistake. That day, I was sacked out of the class. Not only was I sacked out of the class, in fact, I was threatened to be failed in that subject just because I dared to point out a mistake in a professor's work. So Naomi, this is one example. And difference, if you indulge me, is that back home, let me be very careful with my words because things have evolved. I left Legon in 2006. Things might have evolved, especially with the advent of other private institutions. So what I say about my experience in 2006 might not apply in our times right now, and especially in other universities like Asys University and other wonderful universities. In fact, well, University of Ghana too has changed a bit. But the other difference per my experience was we were studying to pass exams and not to solve problems.
Yeah.
I studied theoretical physics, but forgive me for emphasizing theoretical physics because I'm so proud of that area of studies. Though studying theoretical physics, each time, any concept that we learned, our focus was solving a problem in society, solving a practical problem in society. So sometimes when they hear that, oh, he's doing theoretical physics and mathematics, the thought is, oh, theoretical people, they will come out and then it's only the classroom. And this thought is influenced by our physicists solve problems in energy, solve problems in aviation, solve problems in even trying to understand the evolution of the world, which will lead into solving other problems. So this is what I experience. You are coming with a theoretical problem. Back home, I will say, how can we use this to solve doomsday? But back in Ghana, studying physics and mathematics and computer science, to be honest, my whole preoccupation was to pass. Back in abroad, especially Italy again, failing an exam was not synonymous to being stupid. If you failed an exam, in fact, it was a time for the lecturer himself or herself to actually reflect and question him or herself. But back in Ghana, if you fail an exam, oh, please, you have actually fulfilled the prophecy of your lecturer, whom you dare to correct, or you are just deemed stupid. And this leads to losing valuable human resource capacity. So these are the two striking differences that I will point out. Now, what is the similarity? We all set out to impact knowledge. We set out to solve problems, just that one actually ends up solving problems and impacting knowledge, and the other, unfortunately, back home then, set out to just attempt to impact the knowledge, attempt to for society. So can you imagine Naomi and my colleague panelists, taking a polluted, quote unquote, student into an organization? I believe all of us three panelists are workers. Look, I have had service personnel in my office who were ill prepared. They came and caused more mess to us in the office than we thought they would have done. So this is what I will say regarding the differences between education abroad per my experience and then with home and the similarities. Thank you very much, Naomi.
Thank you very much, Prosper. You made very, 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 very valuable points, ranging from to pass exams. Can recall my WASI period. It was chew and pour, chew and pour, chew and pour, you know? You just memorize, you dish out. You memorize, you dish out. Nothing of substance, very little value. And rightly so. Failing in an exam in Africa is, oh my God, it's no joke, you know? It's like you've validated just about everyone's negative opinions of you in the classroom, especially when a teacher does not like you. Thank you very much, Mr. Prosper, again. Now, to Alex. That we as a people can ensure education meets the demands for the job market in particular. How could you say that we can make education meet demands for the job market in this digital era, especially owing to COVID-19, as well as further points you would like to expatiate on?
Thank you for your question. I think before our current educational structure and the pace at which the world is evolving in terms of the digital space, it would be imprudent of me to not highlight the flaw that I see. I think globally, we come up with well, let me focus on Ghana. So we have come up with an educational system. The last time it was reviewed was in 2000. And since then, we've not made any specific we've not taken any steps to improve it holistically from preschool, primary, secondary, tertiary, masters. With this COVID era that we've been blessed to experience, I call it a blessing in so many ways, because if you really pay attention to the lessons, there's so many things that we can learn from it. It has made it imperative for parents to get involved in every aspect of this educational system. The teachers are teaching things, and when the children come home, the parents have no clue what their kids are being taught. And in a time where education, we don't even know the fate of education, whether students are going to go back to school in January or not, it's imperative for parents to be involved in these discussions from the word go. And I think when we have that sort of mindset on how we approach education, where parents are teachers and teachers are parents, we'll be moving a lot faster in catching up with the world where they're needing in terms of the digital space. So that's the first note I would like to point out. I have seen, unfortunately, that because and the fact that our politicians have politicized education is where the error is also education a political issue, then it means that we're not going to look at things critically. We're not going to look at things objectively to look at what we can do to improve it. Free SHS is not a solution to educational problems. And if we don't start having the hard conversations where the right structures can be put in place, the right research can be put in place, then we're joking here. If you're a government and you're politicizing education, seriously. Because if we're looking at this conversation, it won't be an MPP, it won't be an NDC discussion, it will be a Ghana discussion. And the fact that this is not being pushed, the fact that this is a great concern to me. Because you find students who go outside the country and they cannot compete. In fact, let me use my own self as an example. I have gone to school here in Ghana. I went to Morningstar, I went to Western Girls High School, I read Sociology, Linguistics, and French, University of Ghana. I am an advertiser. I work in an advertising company. I'm an account manager, and I run digital campaigns for my clients. And you have people who are coming from Switzerland, you have people who are coming from Sweden, you have people who are coming from Poland. And then you're in meetings with them, they're doing decks, and Ghanaians, we can't understand how their thought processes are because of the way we are trained to study. Because of the way we are trained to understand subjects, because of the way we are trained to understand topics, we can't even wrap our brains around some of the things that are being brought to the fore. We can't think outside the box. I did critical thinking in Legon that I studied in my everyday life. And this is a problem. The fact that you can go to school and pass your degree by reading pamphlets. Pamphlets are written by lecturers who are teaching you. So if you read anything outside of your lecture notes, it's like you're trying to belittle your lecture, which is the same point that Mr. Prosper made. Where are we moving? There are no new ideas. It's the same old ideas, archaic ideas that are not working, that are being recycled generation after generation after generation. And that's a failure on the part of the government and the part of the teachers and even the students for not pushing back against this very failed system. And so if we don't do that, how are we going to compete globally? What are innovations within the digital space that apply to our context as Ghanaians and as Ghanaian students? So this is a problem. And the fact that nobody is talking about it. We have Imani, Occupy Ghana, and all these things, and we don't have a united front in terms of the education and the future of Ghanaian students in Ghana. It's a problem. We don't even have a group that supports the education agenda within this country. What are we doing? I'm a parent, so this is of great concern to me. That what is my son going to benefit from? Because the educational system keeps going from bad to worse every single year. The way our kids are being taught is a problem. Imagine that, okay, so we are going through COVID, and now we all have to take classes on Zoom, including 4-year-olds. Where is the innovation for 4-year-olds who are very restless, who have a short concentration span? And in Ghana, where the internet is bad. I mean, these are practical issues. And yet, because globally, that's the trend, making a difference in the lives of the children. This is a real problem. So, I mean, this was supposed to be an academic discourse, but I believe real change comes from where you are really emotionally connected to the subject and where you really think that there can be an improvement. We need to get serious about education because the future of this country depends on our human resource, the quality of our human resource. And if we don't make it a priority, and if we don't demand that our governments do better by us and stop politicizing education, then we don't have a future. We do not have a future, and we need to really sit up and do something about it. Otherwise, we're going to keep lagging behind. And that would be a big shame because in this digital era that we're in, you have no excuse to be the country that's behind. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Alex. That was an astute assessment of our current education system and its practices. It is actually amazing to know that our education system was only reviewed lastly in 2000. One would think that there are, periodic reviews of just about everything that has societal impact. Another point you spoke was about the politicizing of education, which is a rather common problem, I believe, across the continent, not just in Ghana. We have APC, PDP, NDC, MPP, just about a lot going on in various countries. And I think that, rightly said, focusing on the nation and the people, future leaders, is more important than residual income and benefits that could be brought to any political party or government within a 4-year period. Another solid point I noted was the think outside the box mentality that we're kind of lacking in Africa, which is quite a problem. Hopefully, there would be some form of improvement along the years that we could make to transition ourselves into standardize us more internationally. Lastly, can't teach the teacher from Alex and Mr. Prosper. It is amazing to know that everybody just about from every walk of life and age bracket feels the same way, because I used to feel like it was just people of my age group that felt like teachers were a bit too stringent when it came to yes,
exploring more options.
Exactly. And it kind of demoralizes a lot of us students, because if every single time you're being shut down, even when you're making valid points, you wouldn't really have the vim, as we would say in Ghana, to make solid points anywhere else. So thank you very much, Prosper and Alex. Now to Mr. Opong. As someone who works with international students, how has the pandemic affected international education, particularly with African students?
Thank you very much, Naomi. I'll be very honest with you. even though the pandemic has affected a lot of things, but this year in particular, the COVID, even though it was in place, but a lot of people were able to get on to go and do their further studies in abroad than previous years, because the other countries put in place measures that they don't have to attend an interview for their visas, and so therefore things were made easier for most of the people who can afford to travel. Was that the institutions or the UKVI or whoever, the embassies, made it easier for students. That, for instance, they give you, before it was 1 month, what do you call it, a Virginet visa. Then you have to travel within 1 month. But now they've made it 3 months, which is 90 days. So even though there's pandemic, you can stay here in Ghana or elsewhere, do your online studies for within the 90 days. Then you can travel within the 90 days for face-to-face studies. So nothing really has really, the pandemic has, even though it has had effect, but still we've progressed very well this year than previously.
Thank you very much, Mr. Daniel Opong.
Thank you.
It is very interesting to know that whereas in a majority of sectors, COVID has done a lot of damage, sector, it has rather brought some.
Improved, yeah.
Yes. I remember in my time it was 30 days and only 30 days, you miss it, you miss it. Another key point you mentioned is you spoke about student recruitment briefly. I just wanted to ask you on the side, do you or have you noticed any problems students on their own face in their visa applications when it comes to trying to have access to higher education institutions worldwide, from the visa point of view and the documentation point of view for the institutions themselves? What are the main problems associated with refusals and what's the word I'm looking for? When an offer is not unconditional.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Conditional.
Thank you very much. What do you think is a primary reason for refusals of visas and conditional offers instead of unconditional offers?
Most of the is that they think that we, the Africans, especially Ghanaians, I would say Africans, I would say Ghanaians, they believe that we don't understand English. So they've put in a clause that if you don't have the IELTS, you can have, even though you meet all the requirements, but they will use the IELTS as the condition. Some of the institutions accept the WASI certificate, SSC certificate in place of the WASI. Other institutions still insist that if you don't have the IELTS done, you're not going to get or conditional offer. One of the problems. So we are still in consultation with the institutions that Ghana, we speak good English. So they should they should accept our WASI SSC certificate in place of the WASI. And I've been fighting for most of our clients. And some of the institutions accept it because as soon as we get the English proficiency letter from the university that they attended, they can go unconditional. But with the visa refusals, some of the students, they are a bit, some are a bit difficult. Once they think that once they get admission and they get unconditional offer, they think they can do the visa application on their own. But most of the informations are not on the UKVIA website. So you've been a student, you can't see it. But we are being trained, so we know the issues or some of the documentation that has to put in, so that a student can have their way through to the visa application process. One, we have put in place that before you go for an interview, we have to prepare you very well. There are about 15 questions that need to go through. So one of it is why you want to study in the UK, why the course, the benefits and the relevant. If you are individual, you're doing everything on your own, you wouldn't know what kind of questions they are going to ask you. So you know how you are going to answer those questions. So what we do is we prepare you very well, at least a week or two, to make sure you are well prepared before we submit your documentation for the visa application. We had one instance from somewhere, a student from somewhere who was on scholarship and decided to do application. I'm talking about this year, this September. And the applicant the guy was going to do digital marketing or digital science, or whatever, I've gotten the course. And he was asked a question, why do you want to study this course? The applicant couldn't answer the question. And then they further asked, what benefits would this course bring to you? The applicant couldn't answer. And they kept asking too many questions. So the applicant couldn't answer any of the questions. So therefore, he was refused the visa. They said he was not a genuine student. And when they use the word non-genuine student, it's a very serious word. You know, any university in the UK, when they see those words for you, whether you are a first class student, you are, second class upper student, they tag you as non-genuine student. And so therefore, every university will reject you for further admitting you or making you an offer onto their programs. So basically, those are the problems. If a student doesn't contact us with the agents for before the visa application, they tend to get issues on visa refusals.
Thank you very much, Daniel. This is the first time I'm hearing about this non-genuine student.
Yeah, it's there, but
Wow, wow. Thank you very much once again. Ask if anyone from the audience has any questions they would like to pose. The floor is open for discussion. Again, Daniel, I have one question for you.
okay.
What would you say is the reason for undermining our local certificates?
Come again.
What would you say is the primary justification for the undermining of our local certificates, such as SSC, WASI, so on and so forth?
um, the issue is they believe that some of the students, when they write their personal statement, they write that Ghana education system in Ghana is not good enough. So therefore, they want to go to UK, US, elsewhere for better education. So the things that they put out there makes the institutions also think that we are not good. Sometimes when I read people's personal statements, I get worried. Why are you condemning your country? You don't have to do that. Do you understand? You have WASI, you've gone through senior secondary school, through to tertiary institution level, and you are still saying that you have first class, second class upper, and you are still condemning your country. So if your country is not good enough to give you better education up to this tertiary level, why are you going to do further studies in abroad? Do you understand? So they've created the impression that our system is, and we'll keep receiving this kind of things every day, every blessed day, and it's worrying. So I believe that the educational institutions outside, when they also meet, they talk, they do collaborations all the time, and they discuss us out to put out the, oh, I had this applicant saying A, B, and C, and they can also say that I also have this applicant saying A, B, and C. Okay, then they form the decision that, okay, we are not going to accept this unless you have this. Those are the issues. Let me give you a typical example. When I came back from London, okay, I applied for a job at the Ghana Gas, and all of us, all the people that they called for an interview, believe you me, all the students were from abroad. There was no single applicant, eh, who was from Ghana, who has done master's degree from Ghana, were invited for that interview. And I asked myself why, but they believed that chipping in, you see. And I said to myself that why should this happen? Because they don't even believe in our own certificates that you can sit down here, have your first, second, and PhD, everything here in Ghana, and it can be good enough to man a higher level of institution, unless you have foreign education, and it's not good enough. I'm done. To what my sister just said, you know, if you don't have some of the students, you know, they have D7, D something, C5, Ds and Es. You know, and if you have a C6 in English, you can be considered for a foundation. Grades are not very good. But over here, they won't even accept you into any kind of what do you call it? Any institution. Maybe around the time that you were taking your exams, maybe you're not well, maybe something happened to you, so you couldn't really perform very well at that time. So when they give you the opportunity, maybe to go further, I'm sure you can progress. I'm saying this because just last few weeks, I met a parent. The daughter is very, very smart, like very intelligent. The girl is selling in the market. Okay. So I asked them, why are you allowing your daughter to sell in the market? Why don't you educate the girl? So, oh, the grades are quite, excuse my language, the grades are not really well, the grades are not good. And I requested for the results. When I saw the results, I said, okay, then I can
That's
help
great.
you. Let me try to help you get admission for your daughter. And he was like, can you do it? I said, yes. So I created the results slip and I find her a school at a tertiary institution level. I talked to the big men there and they were able to enroll the girl. The girl is so happy with local scholarship. Do you understand? And she's happy. You see, so if maybe we don't really get access to some of these people, we didn't know what is really worrying them or bothering them. If I had not got in touch with this person, not only one, about 3 of them this September, do you understand? So maybe we can do more campaign to mitigate
Yes.
this kind of problems, issues that we are
Be
con-
more accessible. Be where struggling students can find you.
Oh, me, I'm very accessible everywhere. You can find me on our page like Facebook. We
We
do a lot of.
need more institutions like yours because there are lots of people that give up on education without
Oh,
exploring the full potential that they can bring to them.
even those who didn't
Simply
do well,
because
we managed
they
to help
don't
them
know
to go to
about
UK.
alternatives.
Mm. And not only one, like we've been helping people with low grades and who have funding to travel abroad for last September to go and do further studies. So if you want to travel abroad for further studies and the funds are there, if it's some, we were able to help them to secure scholarships to go for further studies and abroad. So it's something that behind the scene, we the Global Education Center, we are doing to help our people to progress in life. I am in for education, and when I see young people, probably when we were young, we didn't get that. We didn't get the opportunity, but now that the opportunity is there, When I meet any big man, I approach and I said, "Oh, big man, I need help. Can you help my client? Can you help this person for me?" And believe you me, I do get that support. So let's keep our fingers crossed and see what we can do to help our community, or especially the African students, so they can move on in life. Thank you.
very much.
Okay, Naomi,
Yes, please.
yes, if you would indulge me, I just want to chip in with a solution, or what I think we can do to solve some of the problems that I enumerated. That doesn't bring out the best in students. One of the ways that I have experienced as a student elsewhere, and also as a lecturer at the physics department in Legon, and as a teacher at Achimota School, Ghana International School, and Galaxy, is that we need to change the mode of examination. Sitting in class in an examination room where all your marks comes from that 2-hour or 3-hour event is not the best mode of examining or bringing out the best of students. How can we improve it?
People.
How can it improve it? We could have different, segment the marks. For instance, you can also have the oral aspect. We can have a practical aspect, and other aspects of it. There are some people who can orally express themselves very well. They can tell you what they have learned orally. Others too are good in writing. But most importantly, practically, there are people who were talking about English. In my organization today, that is one of the institutions I work for, that is the Ghana Energy Commission. We have an examination for electricians. Look, initially some of the electricians said, as for me, I don't understand English. Does that mean that I cannot be certified by the Energy Commission? But we came out with an innovation that, look, 70% of the marks will come from the practical examination. And it's interesting to note that you even have some of these, I wouldn't call them uneducated, but illiterates, because they don't speak English or write English very well. They even excel at the examination than students or people with master's degree in electrical engineering from KNUST. So if we are able, and these guys are practicing and they are doing very well. So if we change the mode of examination, bring out the best out of students and from our educational system. Lastly, Naomi, one of the challenges that the schools will say will be numbers, because if you have about 300 students or 200 or 100 students in a class, it will be very difficult to conduct an oral examination. It will be very difficult to conduct a practical examination, though not impossible. For instance, in Legon, my class was about 15 people. Compared to, sometimes I took free electives from the philosophy department, where we had about 150 people in class. University authorities and our governments or our policy makers can team up together to solve this problem. Legon, for instance, has vast pieces of land. What stopped them from building more infrastructure with the help of government and recruiting more lecturers? It's so sad that we have lots of PhD students or PhD graduates hanging around in town because the universities will tell you that they are not recruiting. Now, who caused the problem? We are self-inflicting ourselves with the problem. These are my solutions that I want to suggest to you, Naomi, and your organizing team. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prosper. It's sad that these very strong points came rather close to the end of the session. I would have wished we had some. However, at this juncture, I would love to bring this session to an end. Once again, my name is Naomi Alabi, and I was the moderator for this session. Thank you all for participating.